Previously in episode 1.
I'm recruiting rockpoolers from all around the world to go rockpooling on the same day, and then we can compare what we find.
I'm gonna do some rock pooling and exploring what we can find out there. Breakfast. He's right here. Maybe can be my little teaching assistant. Insert disco music here. I usually try to start near the bottom when I go rock pooling or tide pooling, because you only have a limited window, and the lower the tide is, the more access you'll have further down there, and you can always come back to these higher level areas as the tide starts coming in. And I think my low tide was peaking at like 6:30, and I believe it's already 7, so things should be coming back in. So that means I should get down here lower while I can. I don't know. Oh, look at that limpets moving right there. You can see it. I think I just scared it. It actually closed up a little bit more. But if you get them right before they tighten down, you can lift them off of the rock frequently. But that one was moving. It's wet enough down here that these ones are still moving around. Oh, you can see that one. That one was just moving as well. So there's a bunch of those cool things. There's also different algae you can see.
I'm going to get onto the bit about limpets in just a minute, but Marley, just ignore everyone else for a minute. Just ignore all the other people watching this video. It's just you and me. We're just having a chat. Marley, why are you rockpooling with no shoes on? Does that not hurt your feet? How? What? I mean, fair play to you, but like, how? Marley, how? Okay, on to the bit about limpets. There are lots of limpets across the world on different rocky shores. They're really awesome. If you think that they just look like boring rocks, well, some of them do, but they're actually really interesting. I have a whole video on limpets. You should go and check it out here. They actually have the world's strongest material as their teeth. It's really interesting. Go check that out. But they also come in like lots of lovely, nice colours, and yours are really, yeah, they look different, but they're quite patterned, which is really nice.
I'm not sure if that's a different limpet, but it definitely has quite a different pattern. Look, that one's moving. Oh, what's that other thing by it? That limpet with the stripes, it's moving, see? Oh, are those different? Or are those the same limpets I've been looking at?
Okay, we have limpets that look a lot more like rocks, but we also have things called tortoiseshell limpets. And this isn't quite a tortoiseshell limpet. I didn't find one of them on this day, but I did find one that was very similar. I think it might be like a white tortoiseshell limpet, actually, thinking about it. And it's got like this really nice colourful ring at the bottom. So I thought I'd share that with you. So it was cool that we both noticed limpets, and that they're just so awesome.
Algae, and I don't even know what this stuff is, but look at how cool that is. Elizabeth, do I have enough time to talk about surface area to volume ratio?
Oh Marley, yes, you absolutely do. This is like music to my ears.
Why are there so many things down here in this area that have these types of structures with so much surface area to volume ratio? Or maybe there isn't a reason.
Oh, there is a reason. Okay, it is time to geek out. This is so exciting. So, when you go to the top of the shore, surface area to volume ratio is a bad thing. It means you've basically got more skin surface area, though it's obviously not skin because it's seaweed, but I'm going to use my hand as an example. More skin area for water to leave, and that's all the seaweed at the top of the shore is out of the water for basically half of their life. So you want to reduce the surface area for all that water to disappear as much as possible. when you get to lower shore, you're not really out of water for very long. You don't have to deal with that problem. But what you do have to deal with is lots of seaweeds living together, and they're all gonna start shading each other, which means they're not gonna get a lot of light. In that case, you want as much surface area to take in as much light as possible. You also get completely battered a lot of the time at the lower shore because you're in the water for long enough. So you either need to be like kelp, you're really big and thick and strong so that you can cope with all this bashing, or you end up being a smaller seaweed that kind of gets little bits broken off, but because you're smaller, you don't quite get hit as much. So you need to fit in as much surface area in that tiny space that you've got that doesn't quite get bashed as much as possible. In that area, so you end up getting lovely frilly seaweeds and all those things like what I found in Scotland too.
Look at that. Of course, people love these. It's obviously not a fish, right? Look at these ones here. Wow, that one has multiple colors on the same one. I wasn't sure if they were two different types. I always assumed that there was purple ones and there was orange ones, but that one has both colors on it. Lots of these sea anemones, of course. Ah, it's eating my finger. That's interesting that that one started to close when this one started to close. I wonder if that one triggered it.
I don't know about this species, but some species of anemone can actually move and they're incredibly territorial, which means on the outside of their body, they have lots of things to sense where all the other anemones are. So actually being able to kind of see what's going on with the anemone next to you is something that they all have. Usually it's just to fight them in very slow motion. They will fight and try and basically tell the other one to bugger off.
Nice building materials, by the way, that it's using. There's so many things here to look at. I don't know if we're gonna have time to even look at all of them. Look at all of these mussels. These are quite big mussels. They are edible, but it's not the season right now. You can get paralyzed. You can get amnesia and paralysis from eating shellfish during the wrong period.
Okay, so I'm gonna cheat. Just a little bit. Just a little tiny bit of cheating. Does it count if I tell you if I'm cheating? Just a little bit of cheating. So Marley talking about mussels and then seeing all of this starfish there is actually quite an important observation because the favourite food of starfish are mussels. They absolutely love them. I have a whole video on it, and basically their big strong arms can open up the mussels just a little bit. They eat them in a very disgusting way, hence why I made a whole video on it, which you should go and check out here. But the shore that I was rock pooling at, there's no mussels and there's no starfish. So when you're rock pooling, a lot of the times you'll find a lot of species in a lot of different shores, but I found that starfish are particularly fussy and they need mussels there, or they want mussels there, and so I didn't find any. But there are ones at a very similar close beach, which I rock pooled at not long after this day. So I'm just going to show you some footage. They are, however, a lot smaller in the UK. Maybe they'll get bigger than a hand size, but most of the time they're about as big as my palm. So I would lose my mind if I saw the ginormous starfish there. They're incredible.
Wonderful close-up of the purple Californian starfish there. They are just gorgeous. The UK species are classically more orange, though I did find a bright purple one that looks a lot like Patrick's star. But in this time lapse, you can see there's also a little chitin moving at the top of that rock, which Marley also found one of these chitins in California. They're probably not the same species, but they look very similar to the ones that we find in the UK. They look a bit like the insect that we call woodlouse. You can also see a top shell, lots of baby barnacles, some tube worms, and a netted dogwelk living in a very small area under this water.
look how much stuff is growing on other stuff. These mussels right here have so many species growing on them, it's crazy. Look at that sea anemone right there. Whoa. Look at that sea anemone right there. Multiple types of barnacles. So now I'm starting to think that these ones that I thought were all small, being the same species, is not necessarily the case, because look at that light volcano looking one right there, and then these are more brown, and then over here I see one of those volcano looking ones getting quite a bit bigger, and it even has that other type, or what I think is another type, on top of it. Wow, that's a beautiful one right there. Look at that.
Give some credit to Marley here. He's fantastic at observation, and this is why I think science and art is such a unique, utterly awesome blend of two disciplines. And you're going to see some amazing art by Marley closer to the end of this video, so make sure to stick around. But for anyone that doesn't know, Marley isn't a marine biologist, he's a nature journaler, but the observations you're making are incredible, because mussels are so important as a species, and there's something called an ecosystem engineer, and that's an organism that produces its own habitat. So they produce mussel beds, and on mussels so many different species can live and grow, and ecosystem engineers are so important to marine biology, to ecology. Lots of people study them, because if we lose something like mussels, if mussels are affected, then you lose all of those different habitats and creations, and mussels filter water and they're really important. Other ecosystem engineers can be big barnacles that form different surfaces to live on. You talked about Marley saying there that barnacles had barnacles on. They were engineering their own ecosystem to live in. Things like kelp, oysters, all of these things are super, super important marine species for the wider marine world. And it's just so lovely to see people witnessing and noticing just how important and how awesome that is.
Whoa, here's that weird plant I was wondering about before. I've never seen this. I don't know if this, it almost looks like this one's part of it. I've never seen this plant before. To me, this doesn't look like the aquatic plants I'm used to seeing.
I'm sitting here smugly. I'm not often smug, and I'm not smug because I know what that is and Marley doesn't. I'm smug because I know that the information I'm about to tell you will blow your minds and will just make the ocean seem so much weirder and so much more amazing. And I love those facts. They're my favourite facts to tell people, because that is everything I love about a fact. This isn't a plant.
Dun, dun, dun.
I thought the same as you when I first saw something like this. I didn't know what it was. I made the same observation as you. I felt it, and it feels somewhere between like a jelly and a piece of leather. It doesn't make much sense unless you like feel it yourself, but it's an animal. Like, isn't that so weird? So this is a bryozoan. Now bryozoans are usually things that maybe look a bit crisp-like, or about the size of a crisp, and if you look closer, they're made up of like these little dots. Now each of these little dots is called a zooid, and that in itself is an animal, an entirely little tiny unit of an animal. But to survive, it likes to live together. So the bryozoan will form a colony and it will live together, and you very rarely, if ever, find them on their own. Now that's the key bit with this one, is that bryozoans like to live in a colony together, and this species, or these groups of species, have just gone weird with it. They've just taken it and run and made this weird, alien looking, bizarro thing, because they've gone, you know what, we're in the sea, we can be whatever we want to be, because it rhymes, and formed this thing. It is absolutely bananas, because it defies what we think of as an animal, and I just love it. I love that the ocean is constantly telling us to rethink everything we know about stuff, because it's so weird. It's so weird. I will say, I don't know if it's the same where you are, but in the UK, the species that of this bryozoan can give you a rash if you hold it. So just as a fair warning, potentially just not something you want to hold, or at least not hold for a very long time. Gloves would be great if you wanted to hold this thing. But I just love it. I think it's so cool. I'm so happy you found it. I'm so happy you brought this up. Oh, it's so weird. I love weird things. I'm not weird. You're weird. There are a few... I mean, I go rockpooling a lot, and every rockpooling trip is special. And then there are some finds that you just find are just so amazing that you're just amazed by them, that you will always remember as just like incredible. But there are some moments that are both shocking, incredible, special, rare, unexpected. This just happened to be one of them. I don't know what it is. It could be a clingfish. It could even be a baby lumpfish. If it was a baby lumpfish, I would lose my mind. Oh my god, look at the tide is coming in. Here we go. I've just googled what that fish was, and it was a baby lumpfish. Oh my god, that makes it so much better. I thought it was a clingfish because it had this little... Clingfish have that, but then I googled, I was like, I'm surprised it's a clingfish because I'm sure they're just southern, and it was. And then I googled baby lumpfish and they look exactly like that. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't tell you how awesome that is. Oh my god, it's like... I can't believe it. I literally cannot believe it. That is like the best thing ever. It's just so good. As you can see, this particular find meant a lot to me. It was particularly special and was in my top highlights of something I have ever found. I was talking very fast. I will talk a lot. To do this find justice, I'm going to show you some amazingly cute footage now, but I've made a separate video of all the footage that I've got. The continued 2.5 minute plus another 4-minute video of me completely just talking about it, but I've also painted what the lumpfish will look like as an adult, because yes, what I found wasn't just an adult lumpfish, it was the smallest, cutest baby lumpfish. So if you want to go find out about why lumpfish are so amazing, why they're pretty rare, and why I acted like this, go check out this video, but watch this first, and you'll see how small and cute it is.
I found here, this is really exciting. I wasn't sure if I would find these out here, but there's something hiding in this little pool. This is actually about as much pools as we get. A lot of our area, intertidal area, is not actual pools. It's more like these openings between rocks. Sometimes there are pools forming, but I think just because of our geology, at least where I live, we don't have that many pools. But here is one, and look at what is inside of here, besides my reflection. Do you see? Or look down there. Kind of hiding, but there's a few. And I'm gonna see if I can get one. Ah! The sea anemone is totally grabbing onto me really hard. That is a tough sea anemone right there. Wants to eat my fingers. So we have a couple species of these, and I can't remember, there was one that was actually supposedly causing a lot of damage to our local ecosystems here from eating too much of the seaweed. And I don't know if you can see it moving. Can you see it moving? So very cool organism. I think herbivorous, grazers, and they actually walk with these spines just very slowly. A time lapse of this would be amazing. But yeah, there's several of those in here. They are an edible species as well, which is something that's probably for a whole nother video, but really cool urchin species in here.
This is the same species, this is the same species, this is the same species that we get. This is so cool. Okay, I'm minorly cheating a teeny weeny little bit again because I didn't find one on this day, but I have found them before and I've just looked them up. They're the same species. You find them in both the Atlantic and the Pacific. How cool is that? I didn't know that. How wicked is that? Oh, they're so pretty as well.
Used to seeing. But speaking of seeing things, there is a crab over there that I'm gonna try to catch. Here is a crab. I believe it's in the Cancer genus. That's easy enough to remember. And I think these are usually called just rock crabs. And they get quite a bit bigger than this. To me, this one looks like a female based on the shape of that apron there. I used to call it a diaper, but someone told me it's actually called an apron. And they hold their eggs under there, but I don't think it's the time of year that they have eggs. But I like to hold them from these back two legs like this so that they can't pinch me, and you have to be careful not to get your nose too close while you're making a video about them. But such an amazing animal. I love nature journaling these. I've done videos before where I draw them. So many questions about it and so many fascinating things about its shape and form. I love the biomechanics of crabs and how they move. Look at how it's able to use, even from that position, it's able to use its back legs. And just think about, for an animal that lives in such a violent a mechanically violent environment, how would you survive? How do you stabilize when you're being blasted by waves, when rocks are moving around and there's so many forces moving against you? Oh, I just saw another kind of crab over here. Oh shoot, that's a deep spot. I almost sank into a deep spot. Oh no, wait, come back. I think I saw a kelp crab. Oh no, shoot, I lost it. Everything moved. Sometimes you have to change the angle that you're looking at because the reflections can also make it difficult to see things. But I saw an even smaller crab getting washed around here in this algae. They use all their different legs for stabilizing in ways that are just really incredible. Oh shoot, where did it go? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I lost it.
So Marley is a fantastic nature journaler, and what I absolutely adore about him is that he is never afraid to go out and draw on the rocky shore, which is exactly why he is in this video series, starting it off. And he has great videos, especially this one, explaining how you can draw a crab, so you can go and check that out. But I really wanted to include it in this video because to end this video, I don't feel it's right that we don't include it with a bit of art. So I also in a minute go and do my own nature journal page of the rock pooling session that I had. But what was really cool is that Marley mentions before that it is a cancer crab, and in the UK we have a different species to this one, but it's called Cancer pagarus, and it is very, very similar. And watching Marley draw this now, I'm just transported back to the rocky shore here because they're so similar, with the red, the dark ends to the claws and the kind of the reddy purple colour. But you can also I can see differences. They're not exactly the same, and I'd be really intrigued to compare maybe me going away and drawing one in the UK with this one in California to pick up on the nuanced details of it. But this is what the ones in the UK look like. I too am obsessed with the biomechanics, like Marley said, and the claws right at the front, and they have these gorgeous green eyes that kind of like pierce into your soul. They also act just like a pebble in the UK. They don't run around very much, and they just kind of stare back at you with discontent of like, okay, you can film me, whatever, can you put me down in a minute though? And they're really cool, calm and collected as far as crabs go. The rest of them on the rocky shore are all a bit mad and like to jump around and everything. So I sat down and did my nice journal page with my travel watercolours. These come with me wherever I watercolour outside. I'm very fond of them. They're my oldest set. I've had them for years, it's just so much fun. So this is my nature journal page. I love nature journaling outside because of all the time I spend looking for species, which I can't resist. I never have a lot of time to nature journal, so I try and keep it like to 15 minutes, which changes my style absolutely massively compared to what it is usually when I'm not nature journaling outside. But I love this style. It just, I don't know where it comes from. It just comes out cartoony and really, really fun. So the rocks here are orange because if you look at those cliffs over there, there's a special red sandstone which is at Arbroath and not found all around the coast. So all the rocks here tend to have this like orangey tint to it. Everything I take a picture of and see here is not just the sunlight, like it's all tinted kind of yellow. And then this seaweed, I'm going to point with my tripod here. Ooh, this seaweed has been taking over the rocky shore. I've been coming here every couple of weeks or so since we were able to this year, and this is kind of a new addition to taking over the shore, so I thought we would include it. There's always tons of hermit crabs and lots of shells, both snails and hermit crabs, so obviously I have to include a load of them. Down here we've got our little sponge and our two little nudibranchs that we found, even though we found 4. Can you spot the hidden decorator crab? Can you use your beady eyes to see them? Yeah, he's hidden there. I use a chisel or a brush pen when I do this. Usually I love to work with fine liners. We'll spend hours drawing millions of dots and using different weights, but actually I've got a really quick amount of time, so I just use a chisel pen and try and like break the lines up with dots instead. this is a little trail of a snail, which you can see here, there. And that's because they feed off of all the biofilm and lovely microorganisms on the bottom. So they kind of make this like lovely circular trail thing there. So I tried to include that. And then bladderwrack, which is this seaweed here, can be really, really dark, but it can also look, if you look at these, it can be yellowy, it can be greeny, and it really differs with the changing of light. So I wanted to kind of include the different layers in with this, and of course, the star of this week's rock pooling was this beautiful little tiny fish, whatever it was. So it just had to include him staring back at me there. So that is my nature journaling session really quick.
So a big thank you to Marley for being part of this first episode of global rock pooling at the same time. I'm going to be on Marley's YouTube channel, so make sure to go out and check out that collaboration as well. And if you want to get involved, if you're around the world thinking, I'd love to rock pool at the same time as me, then let me know. Either chuck it in the comments below or send me an email. The details are below as well. Have a fantastic week, everyone, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye, everyone.